Let's talk about extracellular matrix just really briefly in animal cells. This is the stuff that's outside the cells, and it's usually secreted by the cells that it's close to, and it kind of helps hold all things together, the different cells. It's communication, it provides consistencies from cartilage to bone, it helps cells just really exist. And in addition to that, we have some junctions. So there's an adhesive junction. These are all proteins. Remember, proteins, we're going to become those ribosomes, really important. So these are ones that hold cells together. Like if your heart, it has to pump and stretch, your stomach, your bladder, it's going to hold things nice and tight, but not watertight yet. These are just adhesive junctions. They're kind of a different one. Then you have tight junctions. These are these zipper-like things. You can even see they look really kind of like this picture. And it serves as a waterproof barrier. So we also find out their adjacent plasma membranes are joined. So that's kind of a big deal, having all these plasma membranes hooked up. Then we also have plasmodesmata, and those are for plants. And it allows, here's some natural pictures of them in slides I thought was pretty darn cool. It allows plant cells to communicate between each other and connect the cytoplasm of one with the other. I mean, these are living organisms we're talking about, and so a cell really usually does not exist alone. It has to work with a bunch of cells coming together, make a tissue. A bunch of tissues come together, make an organ. A bunch of organs come together, make an organ system. A bunch of organ systems working together, make an organism. So let's talk gap junction. We need to communicate. And so they actually even look sort of like that. See the real slide of it? It's crazy. And so those are just ways that it's actually a chemical response for how they communicate with each other. I want to throw in a little bit about cilia too. I think that you're familiar. You might know that they're in your nose, you're in your windpipe, and these little finger-like projections here, they just keep the passageway clear of debris and keep things out. And if something gets in there, they all kind of work together to move it towards the exit again. So what organelles have membranes in summary, kind of? Main ones we've talked about. Nucleus, chloroplast, mitochondria, and lysosomes, and there's probably more. But the one I wanted to bring to your attention is ribosomes don't have a membrane. It's kind of an odd thing, but they do not. All right, what do all cells have? Prokaryotes and eukaryotes, they've got a cytoplasm. That's the first thing I started with you with. They've got a plasma membrane, also called a cell membrane. They have DNA, and they have ribosomes. And here's a few pictures so you can practice identifying things. Now let's talk a few minutes about the plasma membrane. Both prokaryotes and eukaryotes have this. Let's see how it works. We have a polar head, and then we've got these non-polar tails. The whole thing together is called a phospho, because this is a phosphate, lipid, because these are lipids, these are fats. So here's what this whole membrane looks like. It kind of looks like an Oreo cookie, and there's two rows of these molecules on there, and the phosphate heads point to the outside of the cell and inside, and then the hydrophobic area, right here, the tails, face each other. So what we got here, something is going to have to go through hydrophilic, hydrophobic, then hydrophilic. It works out to be an awesome barrier that not many things can get through. Oh, I was telling you, Oreo cookie. The phosphate heads are the cookie, and the creamy part is the hydrophilic tails. So, molecule passes through it by going, and it's kind of cool that these polar areas on the inside and outside, so it'll track the molecules that they need. Then it won't let them through. So it's this wonderful gate. And then these proteins we'll talk about in a minute are the main things that move, this one in particular, that move those molecules through. And so it has to go through without that protein through that hydrophilic, hydrophobic, hydrophilic again. So what molecules can do that? Only small ones and not charged. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, which we have to, I mean, yay, because we need that all the time, and other small non-polar molecules. And water molecules, there's a special aquaphor that moves those through. Glucose,